Storms embraced the ice storm hit without warning, turning the amber skies of Glacialis into a swirling maelstrom of white death. Marcus Rivera fought the controls of his cargo hauler as the ship bucked and rolled through the violent atmosphere, warning alarms screaming in his ears. Rex, his German Shepherd companion, whined anxiously from his safety harness as debris pelted the hull like cosmic hail. "Come on. Girl, hold together," Marcus muttered through gritted teeth, his knuckles white on the flight stick. The massive freighter groaned under the atmospheric pressure, her shields failing one by one. He'd flown through nebulous storms in asteroid fields, but nothing had prepared him for the raw fury of Glacialis weather. A tremendous shudder ran through the ship as the starboard engine exploded in a shower of sparks. The cockpit filled with acrid smoke as emergency systems kicked in, but Marcus knew it was too late. The ground rushed up to meet them with terrifying speed. He wrapped his arms around Rex just as the world went black. Marcus awoke too, Rex's warm tongue on his face and the bitter taste of blood in his mouth. Snow drifted through the cracked viewports, and the temperature inside the ruined cockpit was dropping fast. His breath formed white clouds as he struggled to his feet, assessing the damage. The ship was a total loss, her back broken across a ridge of crystalline ice. Emergency supplies were scattered throughout the wreckage, but the communication array was completely destroyed. "Look like we're walking." "Buddy," he told Rex, gathering what survival gear he could salvage. The German Shepherd's thick coat was already beading with ice crystals, but the dog seemed more concerned about Marcus's bleeding forehead than his own discomfort. The storm showed no signs of abating as they trudged through knee-deep snow. Marcus's thermal suit was designed for space, not Arctic survival, and he could already feel the cold seeping through the insulation. His breath came in short puffs as he scanned the horizon for any sign of shelter. Just when he thought they might freeze to death in the endless white, faint glow appeared through the blizzard. The structure that emerged from the storm was unlike anything he'd seen before. Smooth curves of some translucent material seemed to grow from the ice itself, pulsing with soft bioluminescent light. It was clearly alien in design, yet somehow welcoming in its organic beauty. Frost patterns danced across its surface like living art. Marcus approached the entrance cautiously, Rex padding beside him with ears alert. He could see movement inside through the semi-transparent walls, a graceful figure moving with fluid precision. When he knocked on what appeared to be a door panel, the entire structure seemed to respond with a gentle chime. The door dilated open like the iris of an eye, revealing warmth and light within. The being who stood before him took his breath away. She was humanoid but clearly alien, with skin that seemed to glow with inner light in shades of deep blue and silver. Her hair cascaded like liquid starlight, and her eyes held the depth of ancient oceans. She wore a form-fitting outfit that left little to the imagination, yet carried herself with scientific dignity. "I am Zara Nethys, of the Viridian Research Expedition," she said in accented but perfect standard. Her voice was musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. She looked him up and down, taking in his imposing height and broad shoulders. "You are clearly not from this world." "Marcus Rivera, cargo pilot," he replied, trying not to stare at the hypnotic patterns that seemed to shift beneath her luminescent skin. "My ship crashed in the storm. We need shelter." Zara glanced at the massive dog beside him, then at the interior of her small research pod. The space was clearly designed for one occupant, filled with delicate scientific equipment and crystalline displays. "It will be a very tight fit," she said hesitantly, "but the storm will kill you if you remain outside." "You may come in." Marcus ducked through the entrance with Rex close behind. He caught Zara's scent, something like ozone and exotic flowers. The interior was indeed cramped for his large frame, and he found himself acutely aware of her proximity as she sealed the door against the howling wind. The walls seemed to pulse with gentle warmth, and he felt his frozen muscles beginning to relax for the first time since the crash. "Thank you," he said simply, meeting her alien gaze. "You saved our lives." Zara's expression softened as she watched him. Gentle Rex was already investigating the strange new environment with canine curiosity. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "we can keep each other alive until the storm passes." Secrets in the cold. The interior of Zara's research pod was a marvel of alien engineering. Crystalline formations grew from the walls like living computers, their surfaces displaying complex data streams in languages Marcus couldn't read. The space was barely large enough for one person, let alone a 6'4" human and his canine companion. Every movement brought them into contact, and Marcus found himself hyper-aware of Zara's presence. "Your technology is incredible," Marcus said, examining the bioluminescent panels that provided both light and heat. Rex had already made himself comfortable on a soft mat near what appeared to be a thermal generator. His thick coat steaming as the ice melted from his fur, Zara moved gracefully through the cramped space, adjusting settings on various instruments with practiced efficiency. Viridian biotechnology integrates with the user's life force, she explained, her musical voice filling the small chamber. "The pod responds to my emotional and physical state, maintaining optimal conditions." As she reached past him to access a high panel, Marcus caught a fuller view of her exotic beauty. Her skin seemed to shift between shades of blue and silver, and he could see intricate patterns beneath the surface that resembled constellations. The close quarters made it impossible to avoid noticing the curves of her figure, barely concealed by her form-fitting outfit. "What brings a Viridian scientist to a frozen wasteland like Glacialis?" Marcus asked, settling onto a bench that folded down from the wall. The movement put him at eye level with her, and he found himself captivated by the depth in her ocean-colored eyes. Zara hesitated, her bioluminescent skin flickering with what Marcus was beginning to recognize as emotional response. "My world is dying," she said finally. "Viridian Prime's core is cooling, and our people have perhaps a generation before the crystal forests that sustain us go dark forever." She gestured to a complex array of crystalline samples suspended in energy fields. "These ice crystals contain traces of exotic matter that could recharge our dying core. I've been here for 3 months, studying their properties in isolation." The loneliness in her voice was unmistakable, and Marcus felt an unexpected surge of protectiveness. 3 months alone in this place? That's rough, even for a scientist. "Viridians are not solitary by nature," Zara admitted, moving to check the storm readings on her displays. "We share emotional connections through our bioluminescent responses. Being cut off from my people has been ... difficult." As if responding to her words, the patterns beneath her skin pulsed with subdued melancholy. Marcus found himself reaching out instinctively, his large hand covering her smaller one. The contact sent an unexpected jolt through both of them, and Zara's skin flared briefly with silver light. "Sorry," Marcus said, starting to pull back, but Zara's fingers curled around his. "Pleasant," she said, wonder in her voice. "I can feel your emotional resonance through physical contact. Your species has such warm life energy." The storm continued to rage outside, but inside the pod, a different kind of electricity was building. Marcus found himself studying the graceful lines of Zara's face, the way her luminescent hair seemed to move with a life of its own. She was watching him with equal fascination, her alien beauty drawing him like a gravitational field. "Tell me about your world," Zara said softly, not releasing his hand. "What is Earth like?" Marcus described blue oceans and green continents, the warmth of yellow sunlight, and the beauty of seasonal changes. As he spoke, Zara's skin began to shift through warmer hues, responding to the emotional warmth in his voice. She told him of crystal forests that sang in harmony, of cities that grew like living things, and of her people's deep connection to all living energy. Hours passed as they shared stories, their initial wariness melting away like ice in sunlight. The confines of the pod that had seemed cramped now felt intimate, a private universe where two very different beings discovered unexpected common ground. Rex had long since fallen asleep, comfortable in the alien warmth that surrounded them. "Your presence changes the pod's resonance," Zara observed, watching the walls pulse with new patterns of light. "The biotechnology is responding to both our life forces now. It's creating harmonic frequencies I've never seen before." Marcus could feel it too, a subtle synchronization between them that seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. When Zara shifted closer to examine a data display, the contact sent warmth racing through his veins. Her skin was incredibly soft, and he could feel a slight electrical tingle where they touched. "Marcus," Zara said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I need to tell you something about Viridian physiology." Physical contact with other sentient beings affects us on a cellular level. The longer we remain in contact, the stronger the bond becomes. Is that dangerous? Marcus asked, though he made no move to pull away. Not dangerous, Zara replied, her luminescent eyes meeting his. But it is ... permanent. Once a viridian bonds with another being, we carry part of their life energy within us forever. Marcus felt the weight of her words, but also the rightness of what was happening between them. Then I guess we better make sure this is what we both want, he said gently. Zara's skin flared with brilliant silver light as she moved closer, her body fitting perfectly against his larger frame in the cramped confines of their crystalline sanctuary. Part 3. Hearts and Heat. The storm outside reached a new intensity, causing the bioluminescent walls to pulse with warning patterns. Zara checked her instruments with growing concern, her skin flickering between blue and deep purple in response to her anxiety. The thermal generators are struggling against this cold front, she said, adjusting controls with quick, efficient movements. I've never seen temperatures drop this rapidly on Glacialis. Marcus could already feel the change. Despite the pod's impressive heating system, frost was beginning to form on the curved walls. Rex whined softly in his sleep, instinctively pressing closer to the thermal mat. The intimate warmth they'd shared moments before was giving way to a more urgent need for survival. How long can your systems hold out? Marcus asked, moving to help her reroute power from non-essential systems. Perhaps 6 hours at current drain, Zara replied, her musical voice tight with worry. But if the temperature continues to drop at this rate, ... She didn't need to finish the sentence. A sharp crack echoed through the pod as one of the crystalline panels developed a stress fracture. From the temperature differential, warning lights bathed them in red as backup systems activated. But Marcus could see they were fighting a losing battle against the brutal cold. We need to conserve body heat, he said, the practical part of his mind taking over despite the intimate implications. Shared warmth is our best chance. Zara nodded, understanding the necessity, even as bioluminescent patterns of uncertainty danced across her skin. They gathered the thermal blankets and padding, creating a nest-like space in the center of the pod where their combined body heat could be most effective. Rex immediately claimed his spot beside them, his thick fur providing additional insulation. As they settled into the cramped space, Marcus was acutely aware of every point where their bodies touched. Zara's alien warmth seemed to seep through his clothing, and he could feel the subtle electrical field that surrounded her. Her form-fitting outfit left little barrier between them, and the necessity of survival was rapidly overwhelming his attempts at propriety. Marcus, Zara whispered, her voice barely audible over the storm. I need to tell you something else about my people. When we're in physical distress, we instinctively seek deeper connections with other life forms. It's how we survive. He could feel her trembling, though, whether from cold or something else, he wasn't sure. Her luminescent skin was shifting through rapid patterns of silver and gold. Responses he was beginning to understand indicated arousal and deep emotional connection. What kind of deeper connections? Marcus asked, though part of him already knew the answer. Complete bioenergetic synchronization, Zara said, turning in his arms so they were face to face. Physical union creates a feedback loop that can sustain both partners even in extreme conditions. It's an evolutionary adaptation my people developed long ago. The pod shuddered as another gust of wind struck it, and the temperature readings dropped further. Marcus could see his breath now, despite their shared warmth under the thermal blankets. Zara's skin had taken on an almost golden glow, and he could feel heat radiating from her in waves. Are you saying what I think you're saying? Marcus asked, his voice rough with cold and growing desire. I'm saying that if we don't synchronize our life forces, we may not survive the night, Zara replied. But there was more than survival in her luminescent eyes. There was want and longing, the same inexplicable connection he'd been feeling since the moment they met. Marcus studied her beautiful alien features, seeing not just desire, but genuine affection in her expression. And if we do synchronize, then we become bonded for life, Zara said simply. Your life energy becomes part of mine, and mine becomes part of yours. It's not something either of us could undo, even if we wanted to. The storm raged around their crystalline sanctuary, but Marcus felt a calmness settle over him. This extraordinary woman had saved his life, shared her stories and her sanctuary. The connection between them felt as natural as breathing. And the thought of carrying part of her with him forever didn't frighten him. It felt like coming home. "Zara," he said, cupping her luminescent face in his large hands. "I've traveled across half the galaxy, and I've never met anyone like you. If we're going to be bonded for life, I can't think of anyone I'd rather it be." Her skin exploded in brilliant patterns of gold and silver as she moved closer, her body fitting perfectly against his larger frame. "Then let me show you how Viridians love," she whispered, her lips finding his in the crystalline darkness. The kiss was electric in the most literal sense, sending waves of energy through both their bodies. Marcus felt his own life force responding to hers, creating feedback loops of warmth and sensation that chased away the cold more effectively than any technology. As their connection deepened, the pod itself seemed to respond, its bioluminescent walls pulsing in harmony with their joined heartbeats. Crystal Revelations Marcus woke to the gentle sound of crystalline chimes and the warm weight of Zara pressed against his side. The storm had finally passed, leaving their bioluminescent sanctuary bathed in the soft amber light of Glacialis's twin suns. Her skin still held traces of the golden glow from their night of connection, and he could feel a subtle thrumming in his veins that hadn't been there before, evidence of the life bond they'd forged. "The storm is over," Zara murmured against his chest, her musical voice tinged with contentment. "But I'm reading some unusual energy signatures from the crystal formations outside." Marcus stretched carefully in the confined space, marveling at how natural it felt to wake up beside this extraordinary woman. Rex had already stirred, pressing his nose against the transparent wall to peer at the transformed landscape beyond. Where yesterday there had been only ice and snow, now crystalline structures jutted from the ground like a garden of frozen lightning. "Those formations weren't there before," Zara said, rising to check her instruments. Marcus couldn't help but admire the graceful way she moved, her form still barely concealed by the adaptive fabric that seemed to respond to temperature and situation. "The storm has exposed something significant." Marcus joined her at the sensor array, his engineering background helping him interpret the energy readings, even if he couldn't read the Viridian script. "Those power levels are off the charts," he observed. "Your ice crystals just became a lot more interesting." Zara's excitement was visible in the rapid silver patterns dancing across her skin. "If these formations contain the same exotic matter I've been studying, but in these concentrations, ... Marcus, this could be exactly what my world needs." They suited up for the frigid exterior, though Marcus noticed the cold didn't affect him as severely as it should have. Another gift of their bonding, it seemed. The crystalline formations outside were even more spectacular than they'd appeared through the pod's walls. Towering spires of pure crystal reached toward the sky, each one humming with barely contained energy. "It's like they're singing," Marcus said, running his gloved hand along one of the formations. The crystal responded to his touch, lighting up with internal fire. "They are singing," Zara confirmed, her instruments detecting complex harmonic frequencies. "These crystals are resonating with planetary magnetic fields across vast distances." "Marcus, I think we've found a naturally occurring subspace communication network." As she worked, Marcus found himself studying the way the morning light played across her luminescent features. The bond between them allowed him to sense her emotions, and he felt her growing excitement mixed with an undertone of sadness that she was trying to hide. "What is it?" he asked gently, moving closer to her. Zara's instruments paused in her hands as she looked up at him. "If I'm right about these crystals, they could save my people. But harvesting them would require massive mining operations, permanent installations. I would need to return to Viridian Prime with this data." The implications hung unspoken between them. Marcus understood immediately her duty to her dying world would separate them, possibly forever. The life bond they'd forged was permanent, but it couldn't bridge the vast distances between star systems. "Then we figure out a way to make it work," Marcus said firmly. "I'm not just a cargo pilot, Zara. I'm an engineer. These crystals might be the key to your world's survival." but they're also the most sophisticated communication technology I've ever seen. He pulled out his portable scanner, interfacing it with her more advanced instruments. Look at these frequency patterns. They're not just resonating with magnetic fields, they're creating stable subspace tunnels. With the right modifications, we could establish permanent communication links across any distance. Zara's skin flared with hope and wonder as she grasped his meaning. A real-time connection between worlds. We could coordinate the mining operations from anywhere in the galaxy. More than that, Marcus said, his excitement building as the possibilities unfolded, we could create a network that connects multiple worlds. Trade, research, cultural exchange, this technology could revolutionize space travel. They worked together through the morning. Marcus's practical engineering knowledge complementing Zara's scientific expertise. The connection between them made collaboration effortless. Their different perspectives blending into insights neither could have achieved alone. Rex kept watch, alert for any dangers that might emerge from the crystal formations as the data accumulated. Zara's hope transformed into something approaching amazement. Marcus, this is beyond anything my people imagined. We thought we were facing extinction, but instead we found a path to a golden age. Your people aren't the only ones who would benefit, Marcus pointed out. Humanity has always dreamed of true interstellar unity. This could be the beginning of something unprecedented. Zara turned to face him fully, her luminescent beauty enhanced by the dancing patterns of joy and love across her skin. When I sent out that research proposal, I never imagined I would find not just salvation for my world, but... She gestured helplessly, searching for words, but someone to share it with, Marcus finished, drawing her into his arms. Someone whose life energy would become part of yours forever. The universe works in mysterious harmonies, Zara said, her lips finding his in a kiss that sent resonant vibrations through the crystals around them. Perhaps it knew we needed each other. As they embraced among the singing crystals of Glacialis, Marcus felt the truth of those words in every fiber of his being. They had found something more valuable than any mineral or energy source. They had found their perfect match across the vast expanse of space. Beyond the stars, 3 months had passed since that fateful storm brought Marcus into Zara's crystalline sanctuary. Now, the once barren ice fields of Glacialis bustled with activity as joint human-Viridian research teams established the galaxy's first interdimensional communication hub. The crystal formations had grown under careful cultivation, creating a network of singing spires that reached toward the amber sky like frozen songs. Marcus stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed orbital station, watching cargo ships arrive from a dozen different worlds. Through the vast viewport, he could see the surface installations spreading across Glacialis like nodes of light connected by streams of pure energy. His modified cargo hauler, now equipped with Viridian biotechnology, waited in the docking bay below. The first test transmission to Viridian Prime is ready, Zara announced, her musical voice carrying the excitement that had become constant since their discovery. She moved to his side with the fluid grace that still captivated him after all these months together. Her skin glowed with patterns of silver and gold, responses to the deep contentment that flowed between them through their permanent bond. And the Earth connection? Marcus asked, though he could feel her confidence through their shared life energy, stable and strong. We're about to link 3-star systems in real-time communication for the first time in galactic history. Zara's luminescent hair seemed to dance with its own inner light as she activated the command sequence. The moment of connection was visible from orbit. The crystal network on Glacialis pulsed with synchronized light. Marcus felt a subtle vibration through the station's hull as exotic energies flowed through carefully constructed subspace tunnels. On the massive display screens, images resolved showing the crystal forests of Viridian Prime and the blue oceans of Earth simultaneously. Zara, are you receiving this? The voice of her research partner echoed from Viridian Prime, clear as if he were standing in the same room. In the background, Marcus could see the restored crystal forest glowing with renewed vitality, their songs harmonizing across light years. Perfect clarity. Violin, Zara replied, her skin glowing with joy. The exotic matter infusion has exceeded all projections. How are the population centers responding? The children are singing again, came the reply, and Marcus could hear the wonder in the alien scientist's voice. The crystal forests have awakened dormant genetic sequences in our people. We're not just surviving, we're evolving. On Earth's communication channel, Admiral Chen nodded approvingly from her office at Space Command. The implications for human expansion are staggering, Rivera. We can maintain real-time coordination with colonies at the edge of known space. This technology will unite humanity's scattered settlements. Marcus felt Zara's hand slip into his, her warm fingers intertwining with his larger ones. The bond between them had grown stronger with each passing day, creating a connection that transcended species and distance. Through their shared consciousness, he felt her deep satisfaction at seeing her people's salvation, combined with wonder at the broader possibilities they'd unleashed. There's something else, Admiral Chen continued, her expression serious but hopeful. The Federation Council has approved formal recognition of the Human-Viridian Alliance. They're requesting that you both serve as ambassadors for this new interspecies cooperation initiative. Marcus looked at Zara, seeing his own surprise reflected in her luminescent features. Through their bond, he felt her mixture of honor and uncertainty about taking on such a responsibility. What would that involve? Zara asked, her scientific mind already analyzing the implications. Travel between worlds, establishing communication networks with other species, facilitating the kind of cooperation that saved Viridian Prime, Admiral Chen explained. You two have proven that different species can not only coexist, but thrive together. The galaxy needs more examples like yours. After the transmissions ended, Marcus and Zara walked through the station's bioluminescent corridors, Rex padding alongside them. The German Shepherd had adapted remarkably well to alien technology, and Viridian biosystems seemed to respond positively to his presence. They paused at an observation lounge where they could see the crystal gardens, spreading across Glacialis's surface like constellations of frozen starlight. A year ago, I thought I was facing the end of everything I loved, Zara said softly, her skin shifting through gentle patterns of remembrance and hope. Now I'm looking at the beginning of a new age. The universe has a sense of humor, Marcus agreed, pulling her closer. One crash landing led to saving your entire civilization and revolutionizing galactic communication. It led to more than that, Zara said, turning in his arms so they faced each other in the soft light of the observation lounge. It led me to you. To us, Marcus could feel the depth of her love through their bond, a warmth that had nothing to do with her natural bioluminescence and everything to do with the connection they'd forged in that tiny pod during the storm. So what do you think about this ambassador position? Ready to travel the galaxy together? Zara's skin flared with excitement and determination. With you, I'm ready for anything the universe wants to throw at us.
Through the viewport,
They could see new ships arriving from distant worlds, drawn by reports of the miraculous technology that had emerged from an ice storm on a forgotten planet. Each vessel represented a species that might benefit from the crystal network, a civilization that could be connected to the growing web of interstellar cooperation. Besides, Zara added with a mischievous gleam in her luminescent eyes, someone needs to make sure you don't crash any more ships while exploring uncharted worlds. The sound echoing through the bioluminescent corridor. Fair enough, though I have to say, that particular crash landing worked out better than I could have imagined. As they watched the stars wheel overhead through the transparent aluminum of the observation deck, Marcus marveled at the incredible journey that had brought them to this moment. A storm had driven him to seek shelter with a mysterious alien woman who warned him it might be a tight fit. She'd been right. But the tight fit had led to the perfect match knot, just between two beings from different worlds. But between their species and their shared destiny among the stars, the crystal network hummed with activity around them, carrying messages of hope and cooperation across the vast distances between worlds. And at the heart of it all, two souls from different species had found in each other something more valuable than any technology, a love that could bridge any gap, survive any storm, and light the way to a future neither could have imagined alone.